I never thought the quiet street where I taught my daughter to ride her bike would turn into a war zone. But one night it did. A black pickup with fake sirens and crooked decals plowed straight into my driveway and crushed both of Emma's legs, and in that instant, the only thing between her and death was the sidearm I swore I'd never use again. My name's Sam Harper. I spent over a decade as a Navy SEAL, came back home to Lakeview thinking I'd traded battlefields for quiet porches and barbecues. My daughter Emma had just turned 18, sharp, stubborn, her mother's sense of justice shining in everything she did. She'd taken to live streaming lately, showing the world what she called the fake HOA cops. Guys in a beat-up truck flashing stolen lights, dropping bogus fines in yellow envelopes, shaking down families who just wanted to live in peace. I told her not every fight needed to be fought online, but she had my stubborn streak too, and once Emma set her mind on something, there was no stopping her. It started small, at least on the surface. Envelopes with no stamps or return address slipped under doors in the middle of the night. Notes about non-compliance fees for trash bins, lawn-length driveway clutter. Neighbors whispered about fines they didn't owe, but nobody wanted to push back. And then one evening, Emma held up a Polaroid, our own porch in the background, her tripod in the frame. Across the bottom, in thick black marker, 3 words. Next time we knock. I wanted to laugh it off, tell her it was just some neighborhood punks, but the weight in my chest said otherwise. I knew what intimidation looked like. I'd seen it in dusty villages halfway around the world, the same mix of arrogance and cowardice. But here in a suburb lined with maple trees and swing sets, it felt even uglier. Still, I tried to tell Emma to keep her distance. She just looked me in the eye and said, "Dad, bullies hate daylight. If we keep showing what they're doing, they'll back down." I wished I could believe that. The black pickup showed up again and again. Broad daylight blaring through a cheap, loud hailer yelling about fines. The neighbors shut their curtains. Emma didn't. She planted her tripod like a challenge, told them straight into the lens. "You're not real enforcement. You're harassing families." The passenger leaned out the window, smirked, and said, "You're already on the list, little reporter." My fists clenched, but I held back. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd get scared off by the attention. Then came the night I nearly lost her. It was a Sunday, heavy golden light in the sky, like the world knew something bad was about to happen. Emma set up her phone again. I was in the kitchen rinsing a mug when the neighbor's dog barked once sharp the way it always did before the truck rolled in. I felt it before I even saw it, engine growling, headlights swinging wide. This time it wasn't crawling slow, it was coming in hot. I shouted. Her name tore down the porch steps. She looked up just in time to see the bumper barreling toward her. The bike tangled under her legs. She couldn't move fast enough. The sound when the rear tire rolled over both her legs was worse than anything I'd ever heard in combat. A scream that cut through me tore everything open. For a split second I froze. Then instinct took over. Years of training I thought I'd left behind came back cold and clear. I sprinted inside, cracked open the lockbox, and when I stepped back onto that porch, my Glock was steady in my hand. The truck revved, trying to lunge again. I lined up the sight on the front tire, squeezed once. Rubber shredded the truck, swerved into a neighbor's flower bed, stuck nose deep in the dirt. The passenger door burst open. Reyes, a broad-shouldered brute in a cheap tactical vest, stumbled out with a sawed-off shotgun. His badge caught the light. It looked like it came from a costume shop. I leveled my weapon, voice flat, steady. "Drop it. That's enough." He hesitated. Then from inside the cab a radio crackled. A voice barked through, deeper, familiar, in a way that made my gut twist. "Finish it. Don't leave witnesses." Billy Kane. I hadn't seen Billy in 6 years, not since we'd shared tents in places I'd rather forget. Back then he was the one who said, "I've got your 6, Harper." Now his voice was telling thugs to kill my daughter. My knees almost buckled from the betrayal. For a breath I wanted to walk away, to take Emma, throw her in the truck, and disappear. Let the town rot, let the system fail, because what good had all my fighting ever done if this was where I ended up? My little girl broken in the driveway because I thought we could build a life in a place run by bullies. That was the moment I felt it, the urge to quit, to let it all slide. Maybe I'd made a mistake standing up. Maybe Emma was wrong. Maybe sunlight didn't scare bullies. Maybe all it did was paint a target bigger on her back. But then I looked at her face, pale, twisted in pain, her hands gripping my sleeve like I was the only thing holding her to this world. And I remembered what it felt like when we were overseas, when you couldn't walk away because the man next to you depended on you. Only this wasn't a brother in arms. This was my daughter, my reason for breathing. I steadied my aim. "Drop it," I repeated. Reyes glanced at the radio, then at my eyes. He saw something there that made him lower the shotgun and raise his hands. Sirens screamed in the distance, neighbors shouting, porch lights flaring on one by one. The truck hissed and steamed the air thick with burned rubber and fear. By the time the cops rolled up, I had both suspects on the ground, and the evidence was all around us. Fake badges, Polaroids, Emma's phone still live streaming every second of it. The only thing missing was Billy himself slipping away into the night like a ghost. The trial came fast after that, faster than I expected. Neighbors finally spoke up stories of smashed trash bins, threats on doors, cash demands slid into mailboxes. Emma rolled into court in a wheelchair, her casts covered in signatures, her chin high despite the limp she'd carry for life. They played her live streams, showed the Polaroids, the burned citation slips, even the radio crackle with Billy's voice ordering them to finish the job. Billy Kane. My old brother sat in a jumpsuit, hollow-eyed, no grin left. He tried to paint it as a mistake, just enforcing order where the HOA board failed. But the jury wasn't buying it. They heard his voice over the radio. They saw Emma's broken legs. They felt the fear in every neighbor's testimony. After 4 days, the verdict came guilty on all counts. 15 years for Billy, 10 each for Reyes and Connor. When the gavel struck, I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just felt the weight shift off my shoulders enough to breathe. Emma squeezed my hand, and that was enough. This is what I learned that night: silence is dangerous, and if you don't stand up to bullies, they'll own every corner of your life.